Hello guys, welcome back, and in this video we're gonna go over the PSYCHUBE selector that at this point everybody has, unless you started today or something. I don't know, it depends on when you're watching this video. If you have the selector that comes from the 5th day of logging in, just logging in reverse 1999, and in the selector you can choose one of these. There are these 7. I ignore the upcoming ones because the upcoming are from the Chinese server. There are some crazy juicy one for like healers, I believe. Maybe there's this one, it might be for Tooth Fairy, but we'll see when she comes, whatever happens, and we talk about those as well. Now, before we begin, little shameless plug, the usual plug. I stream on Twitch almost every day, 2 to 3 hours a day. I play Nick, Reverse 1999, Honka Serral, so you might see me playing those games in arranged order, it doesn't matter. Sometimes even some variety. So if you want, you can follow the channel, and maybe if I'm playing something that you like, you can tune in and say hi, we can chill together, right? So now, let's get into the video. So those 7 options, not every option is global, let's say. There are some PSYCHUBEs that are more global, and some PSYCHUBEs that are a little bit more niche, and some are very kind of hard, not very, but kind of hard to trigger. So now, first of all, if you don't have any 6-star PSYCHUBE when you're watching this video, and this will be your first because you don't have enough, I'll call them gold balls, right? If you don't have the gold sphere enough to buy one from the shop, which is 240, I believe, with the 30% discount, then this will be your first. If this is your first, then you need to put more thought into it, which one you should get. Because, for example, yes, let's say you have Lilya, right? You have Lilya, and in theory, you should get Thunderous Applause. But if it's your first PSYCHUBE, right? Now it's going to be your first 6-star, then maybe getting a global one that can be used. You know how the PSYCHUBEs can be transferred between characters without any cost, right? Well, you can just hold it and put it on the next character. Now, if you get Thunderous Applause and it's your only PSYCHUBE 6-star, then putting Thunderous Applause on Centurion or I don't know, someone else on Charlie makes no sense because they don't crit or as easily, let's say, as easily. And we don't have Tooth Fairy, so we can't really force crit on characters that don't have crit in their kit, right? So that's, even though it's a specific option, still think about it, because it might be a mistake if you pick up the wrong one. For example, Blasphemer of the Night, it's really good, but pay attention to what it says. When the carrier attacks, if the target has 2 or more negative status, damage dealt plus 12. Now, this one actually fooled me as well, because I thought that negative status was going to be anything that it's a debuff. But no, of course not, because it says negative status. Otherwise, it would have said stats down or negative status. Negative status, I believe it's everything that doesn't affect a stat that goes down. If you think about it, it makes sense. The more I say it out loud, the more it makes sense. Negative status is something like poison, something like damage taken plus, while something that is reality defense down or weakness or seal might just be a stat down, or the seal, it's a control. The stat down is whenever we somehow reduce some of their stats. It could be defense down, it could be damage down, it could be not damage down, damage dealt down, attack down, or something like that, right? So this is a little harder to trigger a Blasphemer of Night, because you need to apply either poison and a debuff, or if you don't have Sotheby, or when you're watching this video there's no changeling, or you don't have changeling, or you don't have Sotheby, you don't have Kanjira, I don't know when you're watching this video. So in that case it's going to be a little bit harder. But if you're playing, this is really good if you're playing poison. If you're playing poison, this might be the best, because you almost always have damage dealt plus 12 or 224 if you amplify it. plus incantation might from the just plain buff that it gives you, right? Now, this one is really good, but there is a price to it. Other ones are more global, for example, Hopscotch and Brave New World. Brave New World and Hopscotch are basically the yin and yang. So like one is incantation might and it gives you ultimate might if you defeat enemies, which is this, while the other one is the opposite, gives you ultimate might as base, and when you use an ultimate, the next incantation power is going to be plus 20% to 40 when you amplify to level 5. So these two are the biggest ones, the most global ones that you can basically put on every DPS and they will do just fine, because every DPS needs could use incantation might, every DPS could use ultimate might. So it depends on a little bit, just a little bit, on who you have. Let's say you have Centurion and you want to spam skills instead of ult. You want to spam skills and you want to hold the ult a little bit. Then you go maybe you go Brave New World. Hopscotch. You go Hopscotch because that one gives you perma incantation might, and then it gives you ultimate might. If you go for the other time when you want to spam ult, then you do Brave New World. It gives you ultimate might permanent, and then if you follow my Twitch, you will also see a new. Maybe your name is gonna pop in when I make a video. So one more incentive that you can like see yourself when you follow, right? So as I was saying, I got a little bit confused here. When depending on the character and the DPS that you want to use and the gameplay that they have, you might prefer one or the others. But this, for example, gives you incantation might of the next incantation plus 20%. So this is gonna hit like a truck, let's say, after you do the ult. So if you are planning on using different types of characters that do most damage on their attacks rather than the ult, then you do maybe Brave New World. And maybe like if you can make it so they can cast the ultimate really often, let's say, maybe Brave New World is better. Hopscotch, when you defeat an enemy, gives you ultimate might, right? But this is perma incantation might. This is a 12% permanent. So you can choose like which one you want the most. It's kind of irrelevant that I tell you like the characters. I could try the characters that can go for that's basically every DPS, because like sadly or luckily, they all use the same concept, right? Incantation, which is the card, ultimate might, which is the ult. Depending on which one you want. For example, I would go for, if you have Eternity, I would go for ultimate, because she heals off to the ultimate, right? So I would go ultimate might instead. Now, you could argue which one is better. I am not a theory crafter, so I don't know which one is better mathematically, because this one is 12%, right? 12%, and it just stays there. While this one, Hopscotch, you need to kill to get ultimate might plus. Yes, it goes higher than Brave New World, but if you do not kill, or if you, for some reason, you need to like kind of fine tune the combat here, with that in mind. If you're using Hopscotch on Eternity, let's say, because like if she doesn't kill, maybe you do the AoE and it does, like one guy dies and the other guy is 1 HP, and then that was the first attack of the 3 IP. The second attack is like, I don't know, Beacon Bloom shoots Beacon, you shoot with Beacon Bloom just to do some DPS, and the guy dies. That guy that died is not gonna add a 4% on your ultimate might. If you kill it with someone else by accident, maybe you do Anan Lee ult before. Anan Lee ult kills someone, and the other, like you didn't expect her to kill anyone, and now you fucked up. Now, for this sole reason, I feel like Brave New World might be better, because it might have the higher uptime, and it also makes it so you don't need to give a fuck about too much about the ultimate might for Eternity, let's say, right? So this is why you need to understand which character you are using, what is your kit, and what do you want to use them on. Now, for example, Lilya, I want to use Lilya's ult. So I'm going to apply the same concept on Lilya. But Lilya deals a lot of DPS. So if you have a Lilya that crits reliably, let's say you have a high resonance, you have, even if you don't have Tooth Fairy, maybe you have Voyager, or maybe you play Matilda, maybe you have Eric to put some confusion, so they have you're more likely to do criticals, right? And then your Lilya is like I2 or I3. I don't know when you're watching this video. I3 is kind of, we're at the moment when I'm recording this video, we are the 6th day of login. So it's like you probably don't have I3 Lilya unless you're whaling and you're blasting every material possible. Even then, it's probably almost impossible to get I3. Maybe if you use the crystal to restore the stamina, I don't know. It's like every day. But anyway, if you have a crit reliant, a crit Lilya that works, that always crits, then maybe you should go for Hopscotch instead, because it's really easy for you to kill monsters. So Ultimate Might 3 times, only 3 to match the Brave New World basic. Only 3 you need to kill, and this stacks up to 4 times during the combat, right? So pay attention also which combat are you fighting. So if there is multiple waves, if there is just one boss without ads, if there is one boss without ads, you switch. Like you can switch, right? So yes, this like Hopscotch works really well for characters, regardless or that if you can do Ultimate Might stacks or not, because it gives you Incantation Might, right? But you want to use this, otherwise Brave New World becomes a little bit better, because this one it's deterministic. You don't have to do anything, you just do your ult and get your Incantation Might on the next incantation. It's just one incantation, but you also get Ultimate Might permanent 12%. So it's a little bit nuanced. It's not confusing, but it's very situational. So keep in mind on that one. I am a little bit ranting, so let's move on. Now, Brave New World and Hopscotch are probably the best choices for general. In general, if you have any DPS, it doesn't really matter. You're not losing that much if you're getting Hopscotch and you're not killing, and you are not losing that much if you only have 12% on the ult, and then when you do the ult, you get one incantation, 20% of Brave New World. It works on almost every character. So by picking up one of those, if you don't know and if you're unsure, either Brave New World or Hopscotch, and then you buy the other one whenever you have the money, which the moment you logged in for 5 days, you almost have enough to buy another 6-star. So just buy the 2 of them and then interchange them. Or if you don't want to be global, or you just buy one global and then the other one you want it to be specific for a character. Inquisitive Dear is really good for healers. And Thunderous Applause is really good for crit-oriented characters like Regulus and Lilya for now, and then in the future almost everybody once you have a Tooth Fairy. So Thunderous Applause is the classic critical rate, base critical rate. Now on Lilya, this one goes hard. If you get Lilya I3, this goes hard because she makes this go to 20%. So critical rate is going to be 20%, because the I3 Lilya, I can show you, I3 Lilya, there you go. I3 Lilya says PSYCHUBE basic critical rate bonus plus 100%. Now, the basic critical rate bonus is this. So the PSYCHUBE that you have has to have a critical rate, has a bonus ability, base bonus ability, and this one will become plus 100%, which I'm assuming, unless I'm doing a mega dumb math equation like in my mind, plus 100% of 10 is 10, right? So you're gonna get another 10. So this is doubled. At level 1 is you get 20%. The higher it goes, the higher you get the critical rate, and you approach a total of a critical rate that becomes kind of good, right? You get like 50, 60, 70. You get really high with higher resonance, and with this one level 60, you get 32% critical rate base And when you do a crit, which at this point is really, really often, you do critical damage plus 16 to 32, right? So now, that was Thunderous Applause. Let's get to Inquisitive Dear. Inquisitive Dear is a healer PSYCHUBE. Basically, it gives you healing done, and when the carrier casts a basic incantation debuff, almost every healer has a debuff. I believe every healer. Now, I'm thinking while I'm talking, almost every healer. Like Dika doesn't have it. I don't think Dika has it. So for every healer that has a debuff, you can use that one and it's perfect. Because like even Medicine Pocket has a debuff, which is this one, right? So when the carrier casts a basic incantation debuff can say everything, right? Stats down, yeah. HP plus the carrier's attack times 24% for the ally with the lowest HP percentage. Now this one is really, really good on Sotheby. But it can also be, because Sotheby needs instant healing a little bit more. Yes, Sotheby I3 is a little better when it comes to healing. She gets a little more healing, instant healing when you do the ult. But her cure is a regen, so it doesn't go off immediately when you cast it. It goes off the next turn after the enemy attacked. So you can get blasted. You can easily get blasted if you misplay, or like, yeah, if you misplay the heal, mistime the heal, you're gonna get blasted. So Inquisitive Dear is really good for Sotheby. I mean, there's their face there, so you can't go wrong with it. Just follow the face. But other healers that apply debuffs also can use that one without any troubles. Now, healers that don't do that, for example, I believe Dike doesn't have, I don't have Dike yet, so I believe Dike doesn't have a debuff. Yeah, she doesn't have a debuff. Yeah, so she doesn't apply a debuff, right? So she won't trigger the Inquisitive Dear stuff. She won't heal anybody. So for that one, sure, if you have two teams, right, and you have Inquisitive Dear on Sotheby, and then you lock Sotheby because you can't use them anymore in like Limbo or higher Somnambulism, and now you have to bring in Dick because this is the other healer that you have. At that point, now you can use Inquisitive Dear. It's fine. You're gonna lose the amplification, but it's still healing done. So if you don't have anything else, you can use it anyway. It's fine. But the other option that you could use for a healer that is not applying debuffs is probably her second life, which is when you do the ult, you heal everybody, which scales with your attack. So Dick could use this one, increases your attack, but you could, I mean, the attack instantly goes into this pool, right? It instantly makes it easier to scale, a little bit higher to scale. It's only 4%, but it's always good to have a little bit more in the percentages. So you can use this on a healer that doesn't apply debuffs if you have spare gold orbs to use. But I wouldn't buy this, to be honest. I would just buy Inquisitive Dear and use it on everybody if I were you. Now, I don't always have the craziest the best ideas, but I will do that. Logically, I wouldn't waste 240 to get her second life. I would get Brave New World, Hopscotch, Inquisitive Dear, Thunderous Applause, her second life, his Bounden Duty, and at the end, Blasphemer of the Night, just to have it, right? Because otherwise, like, the order should be this. The order for the PSYCHUBEs should be Brave New World or Hopscotch first, then Inquisitive Dear for your healer. After that, we get into the specific ones, so you can get Thunderous Applause if you have Lilya, Regulus, or whoever you can do that deals a lot of crits, that it's easier to crit with. Or you could go his Bounden Duty for, let's say Centurion, let's say. You can use this to get a little more survivability on Centurion. This one gives you also, I wanted to stress, this also gives you damage bonus, not attack, damage bonus. When you kill an enemy, you heal with 60% of your attack, which is a lot. And it doesn't have any cooldown, as you can see. Also, it has the highest base attack scale of all of the PSYCHUBEs. So This one can help a little bit because like you need it's case with your attack, and your attack is going to be the highest one with this side tube. So this one can help on some characters that have a lot of damage. So that's a big survivability one for a DPS. So her second life would come after if you need something for a healer that doesn't have any debuffs, so you cannot trigger the Inquisitive Dear. At that point, you go for a second life and Thunderous Applause for a crit. And at the end, you could get Blasphemer of Night. Honestly, I would go for this one at the end just because it's harder to adapt it to many teams. It's not global at all. You need to use a specific teams that are able to apply 2 negative statuses. So you could use this if you have Sotheby. Any team that has Sotheby could use this on your DPS. You can use this one on your DPS and have Sotheby apply poison, and then Beacon Bloom, let's say, apply not the reality death, but the damage taken plus. That one is a negative status. So on this one, reality death, it's a stat down, so that doesn't work, but damage taken does. So poison and damage taken in a team like that would work, so you can do that. But see how it's a little bit hard. So if you need to put Blasphemer of Night and you want to switch it to another DPS but doesn't have the same team, because there is only at the moment there's only one character that applies poison, then this is harder to do. It's hard. You can do it, but it's harder. You might have to use maybe Baby Blue and Medicine Pocket. Let's see if we can do that. I just thought of it. Medicine Pocket and Baby Blue. I mean, one is mental and one is reality, but just out of curiosity, it's a must debuff. Damage minus 15. That's probably a stat down. Damage taken plus 15. This is a negative status, I believe. And this is mental death, 2 stats down, and 1 yeah, it's really hard to trigger. Medicine Pocket applies damage taken plus 20. I'm pretty sure these damage don't stack, so they're gonna replace each other. So you can't do that. It's yeah. See how weird it is, because like a lot of them are negative statuses, and some of them are stats down, and you need to basically make it so you have 2 negative status. Stats down doesn't count, so this is kind of hard to trigger. That's why I wouldn't pick it up until I have everything else, and then I have leftover, and then maybe I'll get it. I don't know. By the time I have leftovers and I bought everything else, to be honest, we have probably a new one. I don't know what the new ones will do. Maybe we'll make a video going on them and check what they do. Maybe another video, but not this one. This one is for the selector, right? So I don't think there is anything else that I can say. If you have any other question or something that I forgot to say, feel free to tell me in the comment. Now, there is a lot of comment going around on every video, so if I miss it, sorry, but if there is like 10 comments per minute and on 10 different videos, the YouTube panel is not going to show it, or maybe I'm gonna miss it. So in case I miss it, I'm sorry. Hopefully someone else replies to you and it tells you. But I'll try to answer all the comments that require answers, right? So yeah, thank you for watching, and see you next time.